Hello everyone, Robert Drysdale here, and in this video we're going to be talking about fear of competing. First off, if you are scared of competing, know that you're not alone. Everyone struggles with this. Some people struggle more than others, but it's something we all have that problem, right? Now, why am I such a big fan of competition? Because of the medal? No. Because of the prestige or the popularity? No. Because you're going to learn a lot about yourself. It is about overcoming. It's about growing. If you have a fear, you should run at it. Personally, I was terrified of competition. I remember my first competition, I would have been a white belt, 16 years old. I'd been training for like 2 to 3 weeks. I think I went to bed like 5 in the morning. I had to get up at 7 to go to the arena and compete. Like, I was so scared. I got tapped in like 20 seconds. It was ridiculous. But there's a part of me looking back, I was very angry that I lost because for some reason I was expecting to win. But looking back, I'm very happy I did that because it was something I was very scared of doing. But because I faced it, it got easier and easier over time. And now I can say, look myself in the mirror, I overcame something I was terrified of doing. There was not a moment, every time I stepped into the cage, and I fought MMA, I had a total of 9 fights, like every single time I was terrified. Like, I practically had to push myself inside that cage because I wanted to turn away and run. There's a part of me that even wanted to go, I hope I get injured a week before so I don't have to fight. That's the kind of stuff that you're telling yourself in order to boycott yourself because you're so scared of that, right? But why is it so important to face that fear? Guys, the true purpose of martial arts or anything that is truly challenging is growth, right? The medal is fun and all that, right? It makes you feel good, but the truth of the matter is it is meaningful for a very short period of time. Getting a belt, same thing, you know, perhaps you want to make a lot of money from fighting. That's going to feel great, but very momentarily. There's no deeper satisfaction in it. But overcoming your fears grants you a deeper kind of satisfaction. I think it's very valuable. I think that confronting your fears is part of the journey. You know, it's not an easy thing to deal with, right? Because, you know, your mind, your body is going into, you know, fight or flight kind of mode. It perceives competition as a dangerous situation. It really is a controlled environment. It's not very dangerous, but your mind perceives it as something very dangerous. So what you want to do is you want to run in the opposite direction, right? But for you to be able to overcome that and control yourself emotionally grants you sort of control in life that you're going to carry every aspect of your life. Like, you're not going to be, I remember in college, like, people were getting nervous about a test and I'm like, this is nothing. I just competed like all these tournaments in the last few months. Like, once you go through that, not many things are going to feel threatening and challenging in life, right? Because you did something that is one of the hardest things you can do, which is to fight. So that element right there, I think, is very underplayed. I do think it's part of the journey. I think people should compete every now and then, even if you don't do it for a career, you don't aspire to be a world champion. Just being there and throwing yourself out there, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. Because the truth of the matter is you don't know yourself until you're put under stress. You think you're a tough guy, and turns out that you're not that tough once you're put on the spot. And sometimes you may think you're a coward, but when you're put on the spot, you have the heart of a lion. I've seen this so many times. Big, tough guy, you know, like, works out, super fit, you know, acts super tough, and you put him in a competition scenario and he just breaks very easily because he's been lying to himself his whole life because he's big, perhaps he's strong. He believes he's actually a lot tougher than he actually is. You put him on the spot and he's not that courageous. And then you get that guy that's super awkward, you know, shy, he doesn't have a lot of friends in high school, and you put him on the spot and he just, like, he'll fight to the death. And he had so much heart to him and he had no idea he had that much heart to him. And I love to see these things because it confirms, you know, what martial arts is all about, which is about growth, it's about struggle, it's about, like, overcoming. And I think that a lot of people underplay this. Like, the true value of competition, guys, is not a medal. It is the ability to overcome your fears. If you're scared of competition, if you're scared of competing, if it makes you nervous and anxious, you should run at it. Force yourself to do it. Don't run from the challenge. So one of my favorite things to see is to see people grow through competition, right? Like, every gym owner has experienced this. If you've been in jiu-jitsu martial arts long enough, you've experienced this as well. You see that kid walk in and he's very shy, very insecure, probably never had a girlfriend. And you see all of a sudden he starts gaining this confidence, right? Because he thinks, I'm a loser. I'm never going to win anything. I suck at everything, right? And what jiu-jitsu does, it really puts you where you're supposed to be, right? So if you're that child that's overconfident, perhaps the child is the bully, right? He's going to lose. There's no way around it. You're going to lose. And that kind of puts you in your place. You go, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm not as strong and not as fast as I thought I was. And then you get that child that's very insecure, and he's going to go, whoa, I don't suck. I'm actually not as weak as I was. I'm actually better than I thought I was. And it kind of puts people where they're supposed to be, right? So one of my favorite things really is to see that child that was very insecure rise above and go, wow, I'm actually pretty confident about this. I can do this. I can do more and more and more. And as that confidence grows, next thing you know, they're going to competition. And then when they find that, they realize, hey man, I can actually be a champion, right? And for you to watch someone's growth in jiu-jitsu like that is very, very rewarding. It's something I've always taken great pleasure in. Like it's probably my favorite thing about teaching. For a minute there was like, I want to have many world champions, but to see someone grow like that and change themselves completely because of their experience on the mats, because of that struggle on the mats, then that's something I really appreciate. Like I think it's, as a coach, it's very rewarding. Even if they don't always win, just to see their growth where they were when they started, because it's all about where you started, right? Like if you have like a phenomenal athlete and he starts up here and he makes it this high, like he didn't climb that much. But then you get other people who start way down there, they're very insecure, they're not good athletes, they never did that well. They have all, like, sometimes people have a lot of psychological issues, and you see them rise all the way up to here. Even if they're second place, perhaps they don't beat the super athletic guy, I feel that person has struggled so much more and they have climbed so much higher, there's more merit. So in some ways, even sometimes when the person loses, there's more merit there than the person who won because they started far ahead, right? Sometimes maybe their family's been trained jiu-jitsu, or his dad introduced him to jiu-jitsu years and years ago. So it's all an issue of merit, and I think that's what competition does. It teaches you the value of merit. So if you are scared, guys, run at the challenge. Don't run from it. I know it's a hard thing to do. I know you're gonna play mind games with yourself. You're gonna go, I shouldn't do this, or I can't hurt myself, or I'm just doing this for fun. Guys, these are just things you're telling yourself because you're trying to avoid a bigger issue. Like you're scared, you're nervous, I understand. Competition does make you nervous, but really try to overcome that fear, guys. There's a lot of merit there. You're gonna feel proud of yourself. And at the end of the day, there's something very valuable about losing. I'm not saying that you're suggesting that you should try to lose, but you do learn a lot about yourself. Think about the competitions you went to when you did really well. Maybe you won. You go home and you pat yourself on the back, and there's not a lot of reflection. There's not a lot of thinking. You're just feeling good. But there's not a lot of analyzing what actually happened. Now, just because you won doesn't mean you didn't make a million mistakes. You certainly made a lot of mistakes. Perhaps your opponents made more mistakes than you, but you made a lot of mistakes, but you're not analyzing them. So there's very little growth in winning, and that's the truth of it. Now, when you're losing, there's a lot of growth because you're gonna analyze, you're gonna go home, you're gonna be kicking yourself in the butt. Perhaps you're gonna be up all night thinking about why you lost, and there's an act of self-reflection there, and you're gonna improve on that act. So in some ways, losing has its value as well. A lot of parents don't like to hear this, but you always get that 9-year-old that's super talented and he's always winning. And a lot of times I suggest putting that kid in a division above his, like perhaps higher belt, higher weight with better kids, because I actually think the child should be losing every now and then. Parents look at me like I'm crazy, like why would you want my child to lose? It because I like him. I think he needs to lose every now and then, because if he wins too much, he's not going to be able to deal with losing when it actually happens, when it matters. Right now he's 9 years old. By the time he's 20, he starts losing. As you raise the bar, he's going to lose. Then it breaks them. And I've seen that happen so many times. They just don't know how to handle defeat. Defeat is kind of like getting sick. You can't say, I'm not gonna get sick. At some point, you're gonna get sick. You should avoid it, but you're gonna get sick. You have to breed what? A strong immune system. That's really what this is about. It's about having a strong immune system. So when bad things happen, you know how to deal with them. But you have to put yourself through that process. Otherwise, you're not going to be strong enough to deal with the issue when it actually happens. In other words, losing is part of the process. The two sides of the same coin. You're going to win, you're going to lose, but most importantly, you're going to grow. Guys, if you're scared of competition, let us know why, how I can help. If you have any suggestions, if there's anything, Rob, this is how I feel, let us know in the comments. Also, if you believe the channel brings value to your jiu-jitsu journey or your martial arts journey or your life journey in general, subscribe, let your friends know. Like the video, and I hope to see you guys again soon in the next video.